Hello crafting friends, welcome to my channel. My name's Barbara Radzevicius and I'm Bondi Fibre Crafter. This is the third part of the series I'm doing in May on quilts, my quilts, and collecting quilts. Mainly collecting my quilts, myself, the ones I've made, and some of the quilts my friend Judith has made and given to me. So I do like collecting her quilts too. They are so beautiful. So, collecting quilts. Why do I collect quilts? Because I love them. I make them, and I've always been a collector. I collect a number of different things, themed things, netskis, stamps. I used to collect stamps when I was little. And yeah, reference books, friends' paintings and knickknacks. I used to be a big collector of little things, you know, like miniature salt and pepper shakers. I don't do that anymore. But I love collecting. I love the thought of what is out there waiting for me. I love the thought of something coming for me. And when the post comes and I get a beautiful box of yarn, or I go to the shop and fabric comes for me, or I look at fabric and I just, when you touch it, this is collecting fabrics. I collect wool too. So it's the feel of the things, it's a tactile, it's a smell of old books. For me, I just like a collection. I like how there is a set number of things that go into a collection and they just go together perfectly. So I can stop. I have a collection of 3 owl vases, and you could just have millions of them, but I only wanted 3 and they go together perfectly. And my quilts are also themed. You could say a quilt is a themed section of quilting, of collecting. They are beautiful to feel. They're like a big hug. I like going to the fabric shop and selecting fabrics. I usually have something in mind when I go, and I have a budget. But I make a quick swoop all around the shop and I collect all the bolts that I want, because I only buy small pieces, like 25 centimeters of a bolt, and I can I can buy like 25 different pieces just in one shop. But I don't go shopping very often, like it's once or twice a year. Sometimes I'm looking specifically for a color, a hue, a special thing within the color range. Not any yellow, a specific yellow with a black undertone. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm looking for grunge and that's all I buy. Like the blues that I bought recently. And yeah, I just love them. And that's all I bought, blue grunge. I wanted the whole range of blue grunge to make a flying geese quilt, blue and white. I have been making quilts now for a long time. I started in 1974 as a serious quilter, I'd say. I made a hexagon quilt, and then I left it for a fair while because 6 children, I was sort of distracted, and there was times when I needed to have money and I had the skill of being able to sew. So I made quilts for a quilt shop and they sold them, They were just machine quilted because my husband worked at a mattress factory, and they machine quilted the tops of the mattresses, and I asked him to run them through the quilting machine, which took 2 seconds, and he did. And I did that for about a year, and they were mainly log cabin quilts, but you know, they were so fun to make, and I liked going to the shop and I'd get an order. And still a part of collecting for someone else. And I did make a green quilt for a lady who was seriously ill, and she picked the fabrics and she asked me to make her a log cabin, and she made her whole room decorated around her quilt, and I was so happy about that. And it gave her so much pleasure, just a beautiful color quilt that she picked herself, and it gave her a big hug when she wasn't feeling well, and that was nice. I do like making quilts for babies, and the small ones, because they fit into the width of fabric for the back, and I can buy small pieces for that. I have a nice collection too, but I do love making baby quilts, and I call them mitzvah quilts because they're a gift with no strings, and they're called mitzvah quilts because they're a gift of loving kindness. And I just like giving them. I give them to friends, to people I don't know but who are having a baby, and I think they would like it. And you know, I have made some for the hospital for very small preemie babies, which was nice too. And then there are bigger quilts, and I've made a lot of quilts for my children. Everyone has a quilt or 2 or 3. I do remember making Sky's quilt, and it was cooking themed. And it does take me a while, you know, to collect a number of fabrics that go in a quilt to make the picture. Her quilt had a beautiful fabric with recipe books on it, and so I just made it around that, and oh, so nice, and she liked it. She still got it. And I've made the grandchildren lots of quilts. Usually when I'm making a quilt for someone in mind, I have to collect the fabrics just specifically for that person. So I sort of think, you know, what they would like, and what colours they like, what colours they wear, and everything, and then I make it. Yes, that's so fun too. The bigger quilts that I make mainly for myself, and I do make the children, you know, one big quilt, because they're so, you know, they do take a lot of time and effort, and I can only make it so fast, you know, I can only go so fast. So they have to put an order in. I would really like this, and it takes me about a year to make it, and they get it for their birthday, hopefully. And the ones I make for myself, well, it's just collecting. I love collecting. I get hooked on a designer that I really do like. Kay Fassett was one that I collected a lot of beautiful brights. I love Kay Fassett collective fabrics. And Charlie Harper. I love Charlie Harper's fabrics, the beautiful birds and cats. His fabrics are just lovely. They were a bit more expensive, so I had to really rationalize my Charlie Harpers, but I got the ones that I really did love, and I do love them. I still love them. And then I do like Tula. I love Tulas too. I've got a nice collection of Tula. And then I collect colour ranges. Black and whites, white and blacks, reds. I have a nice collection of reds. Reds are not my favourite colour that I make for myself, although I do have a few red quilts because they're just so beautiful. But I don't wear red. mainly because I'm pale and it makes me glow like a light bulb. I collect cat fabrics. I collect novelty fabrics too. Most of my fabrics have an underlying theme of novelties. So themed novelties like cats, bugs, trains, planes, ships, birds. I love birds. And there's so many beautiful birds, fabrics, bees. Get via drip. I'm just a collector. I just love collecting. I've always loved collecting. Even when I was little, I remember my first day at school and my year of kindergarten when I was 6. And we used to go to the playground for recess. And all the other kids would be buzzing around, you know, athletic types. Not me. I was collecting paper bark from the trees that have fallen on the ground because in Australia we have paper bark trees. And the paper is the bark is very thin like paper, but it's about 500 different shades of brown. And I was hooked for a whole year on collecting paper bark, and I put it in my desk under, you know how the old desks had a drawer type of thing where it was open but you could put things in. I had a whole desk full of paper bark. I don't know what the teacher thought at the end of the year, but also in that year was a formative year for me in colours. I just loved the smell of the craft cupboard when I opened the doors, and that beautiful smell of craft comes out of plasticine, wood shavings, old bits of paper and stuff. I just love that smell. And I love the look of pencils, coloured pencils, all grouped together. I just love them, and it's stuck in my mind forever. So that's about 70 years now. And I bought a cupboard, and it was from a school, and I was so lucky to get it. And it's got glass doors, and when you open it, it smells just like my kindergarten craft cupboard. I'm so lucky, and I could just retire into the cupboard, I think. But yeah, this is why I love collecting. Then I moved on to stamps from all over the world. I had pen friends. I collected beautiful butterflies from places like Romania and Bulgaria and all those romantic sounding places that had beautiful stamps back in the 60s that are just so lovely. I've still got those, of course, and I collected train stamps. Then I moved on to collecting net skis. That's a lifetime passion of mine. I love net skis. I've only got a few wooden ones, and I think, oh, I just love them, the detail in them. And I must have focused on rats. And then I did some research, and in Japan, in Tokyo and the big cities, there were people, craftsmen, that focused just on one type of net ski for each person. And I got the rat family. And I thought my first net ski was a ferret. I love ferrets, but ferrets are, you know, those tricky little animals. I sometimes call politicians ferrets. But the net skis that I collect are rats. And the rats are just so beautiful. I have done a whole episode on net skis, my net skis. Oh, and then collecting, I don't know, I love the thought, and I love the expectations of when you open something and there's beautiful fabrics inside. Or even when I go shopping, I open the bag when I get home and there's beautiful fabrics. Or I go shopping with Judith and I look at her beautiful fabrics too, because she's a collector of fabrics. And it's just heaven because we both love fabrics. And so I love her fabrics as much as she does, I think. Yeah. And then I collect wool, but I haven't got a big range of wool like I have of fabrics. And so, yeah, that's mainly why I collect quilts. For me, it's like someone who collects, you know, paintings of friends, or those Victorians who used to go out and hunt for rare plants. For me, it's like hunting for rare fabrics or rare books. Yes, some of the books are now very expensive, and I just have to go to the library, the big library, because they are very expensive. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed me talking about why I collect. It's supposed to be about why I collect fabrics, but I collect. So that is to sum up why I collect in the last episode of May, quilts, collecting quilts. And in this episode, we are going to look at English paper piecing, quilts, and hexagon quilts, the ones that aren't in the cupboard. It takes me a few days to do an episode because the quilts are big and it takes a lot of effort to lay them out and then photograph them and pick them up, or lean over and talk about them. But I do love talking about them. I could be here like for hours. Come and visit and I will talk to you about quilts and about fabrics and about wool, anything really. The Middle Ages. I'm a medieval historian. I've got a degree in history from Sydney Uni. That was another form of collecting for me, collecting some knowledge on a period in history that I was very interested in. And that was Spain, from 711 to 1031, southern Spain. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, please like and subscribe. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe and share. Share my channel, all helps, doesn't it? And it's so fun to share my love of quilts with you. So let's have another look at hexagon quilts and English paper piecing, diamonds even. This is Bonnet Sue, one of my favourite and probably only applique quilts that I've made. I think I've made one other. Really like this Bonnet Sue pattern. There's a few different designs for Sue, but I really like this one. And there's one for her brother too. I only made this one. She's so cute. I embroidered eyelashes on and sewed on a few decorations for her bonnets. All the dresses are dresses that I made when I was pregnant with one of the 6 children. That's so cute. And I remember each one, even though it was like 40 years ago maybe, or 30 years. They're so cute. I really like grey stripes. All the dresses were so pretty. That's a nice one. And her little bloomers and her boots. There we go, 1990. I really like doing some of the stars out in the border too. I thought that was really neat. And the back has one of my old labels that I drew and then made into a stencil screen print. So cute. This is another applique quilt that I made. I made it for John. It's a phonograph. I think it's really cute. It's got music fabric. It's got some writing coming out of the horn. I'll just get a bit closer and we'll see what it says. John used to make horns. Well, he still does occasionally. But he made horns for gramophones and phonographs, and people could not pick them from the original. They were so perfect. And so I decided to make him a quilt with that theme. There's a little phonograph, an Edison phonograph. It's writing. And Thomas Edison phonograph. I think I made it May 1996. It's good that I put the date on it. I've hand quilted it too. The music fabric is really nice. I like the quilting on the border too. And it's got tiny little black buttons all over. I think it reminds me of a jazz quilt. It's so nice, isn't it? That's John. This third part of why I collect and how I collect quilts is on hexagons. So part 3, hexagons. This is a big hexagon project. The hexagons are 4-inch on the side. I hope I get it finished one day. It's a big project. K-facet fabrics except for the center one, owls, and the orange one. I really love Brandon Mobley's black and white. I bought a few meters of it and it's in a few quilts that I've made. And I've put it in the centers also. I fussy cut the centers. Making the big hexagon was something different for me, but they're so beautiful. I love the butterflies. It just showcases the fabrics beautifully, I think. I love clocks, watches, and timekeepers, all sorts, and owls. It's a lovely orange block. This is one of my favorites. I really do love that pink flower. And these beautiful flowers. This is an Australian print, I'm thinking. Can't remember now, but I think it is. And the colours in it are just spectacular. And this beautiful, I think it's called Angel's Trumpets, but there are so many different trumpets in it, trumpet flowers. Particular favourite flower of mine is the Angel's Trumpet. We'll have a look at the back. And you can see how I construct a big quilt. And the fussy cut one. Very easy to tack the pieces to the fabric, I've got to say, as compared to the 1-inch, but you know. A fun project for me one day. And then there's this most recent project, still going. I'd say this is a long-term project. It is beautiful. Love hexagons and English paper piecing. So nice. So easy to do, friends. This is a little bee quilt, English paper pieced and hexagons, 1-inch hexagons. I have made hundreds of 1-inch hexagons, friends. I had a whole crate of flowers just made up. This one is mostly bee themed, and it has this beautiful bee fabric on the border. I appliqued. No, I didn't applique. I wonder how I did. I appliqued the center part to the border and then cut the fabric from behind it. These little flowers are all so lovely, and they remind me of different things. Little mice and the little girls, owls, a lot of bees, cute little people that remind me of the painter who drew little stick people. Can't think of it at the moment. Really love the black and white fabric that I used as the neutral to go around the edge of some of them and join the garden together. I think this is more of a meadow flower garden. Really love the center hexagon flower. I hope my hand isn't too shaky. So I just thought we would have a look at a smaller hexagon English paper piece quilt, because I think this is the smallest. Oh no, I've done 1/2-inch hexagons in a small quilt, but this must be the second smallest. And now we will look at the big ones. Well, some of the big ones. My red and white, as in the Chinese cupboard. So we'll have a look now at the bigger quilts. Waiting there. Before we do, I thought we'd just look at the backing fabric of this quilt. It is so lovely. And the binding is Spanish doubloons. Does anyone else have this fabric? It is so lovely. I did buy it about 10 years ago, I'd say. Maybe not that long ago. Maybe, or close to it. Maybe 8 years ago. But the detail is just lovely. A lot of bees. This is a big quilt top. Still a top. I've taken all the papers out of this one, and it is ready to put the batting and back onto. I just haven't done that yet. I think I made this a couple of years ago. Really like the science fabrics, and I wrote my name in periodic table. That was fun. And they fit perfectly into a 1-inch hexagon. I noticed B is bromide and boron. Oh, but yeah. I do like the setting of this. It's like a vine. So hexagons all go, hexagon flowers all go down. And then in the middle of the centers, I just used a single hexagon. And they're so cute too, just random ones, very colourful quilt. A lot of K facet fabrics you'll see here. Beautiful roses, and a lot of roses actually there. Flowers. It will be good when I get this one ready to quilt. I imagine you will see more of it in the future. The yellow and oranges over there. I especially love this fabric, the border fabric. It's, I think it's passion fruit flowers. It's so lovely. I bought it to make a skirt, but after a while, I don't think I could see myself walking around in a passion fruit vine, although the colours are so lush. I thought I'll put in a quilt and admire it from afar. Yeah, this is the only hexagon quilt I have waiting to be finished with a back. So you can see that's the back. Taken all the papers out. Making a quilt this size is a big job, friends. I get obsessed. I must. I just can't seem to stop until I have it finished. Sometimes it morphs as it goes along into something totally different, but usually it's like my knitting and changes over time of making. If I don't have a focused intention of what I want in the first place, it does change a bit. But this one, I think I wanted to make a science-focused quilt, and that's the nearest I got to it. There are some science fabrics in it. That beautiful one there. Yeah. With the red and white quilt that I've got in the Chinese cupboard, it took me 800 hours to hand quilt. It took me all winter 1 year. And the red and white flowers, I named it in memory of my grandfather who was in the First World War, and they were red poppies. And yeah, it was just a lovely quilt to quilt and to piece together, because the flowers all came from swaps from friends mostly. I did make a lot, but they were gifted to me, and they're so special. And I hand quilted a labyrinth, starting in the center and going to the corner, one of the corners. A labyrinth is unlike a maze where it only has one way in and out, and it's a meditative journey. And I thought it was just a great thing to have as a quilting pattern. I have shown it in previous episodes, earlier ones. If you'd like to have a look at that, just go back and look through the hexagon quilts that I've made. But yeah, I just love them. So now we'll have a look at the bigger quilts. The bigger quilts that I have to go in a different storage space. Does anyone have ideas for storing quilts other than the quilt cupboard? Because I have got like half of my collection that needs to be stored away from the light and anything that might decide to make a home in it. I'm very careful with my quilts, and yeah, just don't want anything to happen to them. They're like paintings for me. How do you feel about your crafting activities? Are there quilts or paintings or some projects that you make and you just love them so much because they represent what you're thinking at the time or what you love in colours and shapes? It's something to think about, isn't it? This quilt is a combination of hexagons and diamonds, English paper piecing. It's a bigger quilt. I have machine quilted this one. Had it quite a while. The theme is bees. I love bees. I've put little pieces of the fabrics in the border, and the binding is also Spanish doubloons, the same as the other bee quilt. I've appliqued the center onto the white background on this one. And yeah, putting the diamonds in between the hexagons was a little tricky, but you know, it's all very easy because it just takes a little time. I love this quilt. It's a happy little quilt. I love blue and yellow together. I think it makes a very nice colour combination. I particularly love the ghosties. You can see me there. I'm the bottom left. And this one says quilt. It's perfect. And there's pirates, the night sky, science, bees. It's a beautiful bee fabric. Sailing ships, beautiful coloured mushrooms, little dogs. It is a very pleasing combination. And this is a nice little quilt. I might give it to my granddaughter, I'm thinking. When she's a bit older, she'll like this quilt. She'll have a few of Grandma's quilts. There are 4 quilts left to look at in the English paper piecing hexagon series. So this is part 3. And just before lockdown, a couple of years I would say, Katya Merrick brought out this fabulous book called The New Hexagon, and it had 52 different configurations of hexagons. I just loved it, and we were supposed to do I don't know whether it was a quilt along or something like that, but I couldn't wait, and I did the whole 52 hexagons in 2 weeks. And I've done them in many forms. I've done about 5 or 6 of these quilts, some big, some small. We're going to look at 4 of them now, and I just love it. And you can add your own colours, and depending on how you put the colours, change the shapes of what is already there. And then John Bloom, I asked him to blow me up some of the hexagons so I could make 2-inch hexagons or 3-inch hexagons, and then the 3.5-inch hexagons, all with this configuration or slightly different. There's so many coming out now, but you know, before. And so I collected all my photos of the blocks that I was doing. I think there was a Facebook group for it. Have a look under Katya Merrick, and I made a book out of the ones that I did. And so some are really my favourites. This is a picture of the whole quilt. I'll show you this shortly. And I think having them in a book is so fun because it's a collection of them, and it just made it so much more interesting for me, because now I have got a reference of every one I made for the first quilt in this series. So these are my fabrics and the way that I thought the blocks should go. This is the same block just with different fabrics. That is my favorite block in the whole book. I just love it. And you can use, mine are scrap quilts, so these are scrap configurations. I'll just show you a few because I like looking at them too. I just think it's so fun that somebody could think up, and this is how I put this one together. She's a genius. She thought this up, put it into a book, and off I went. Yeah. It's just so lovely. Some are more complicated than others. That was Nath coming home. This was a tricky one. Not tricky, you know, just it took me a few minutes to figure out how to put it together, because how I did it was I photocopied the piece that I wanted to do, let's say this one, and then I had to cut out every small piece because it's English paper piecing, and I numbered them so that I would, you know, wouldn't get them mixed up and they'd go into the right place. And doing that, I reversed them because I had the numbers on the other side, on the back of the project, so that I could see it. So they're all reversed. Typical for me, if you've been watching my knitting. And you'll see all these these are more simple ones, more easy to do ones. There's all levels to do in it. And yeah, you'll see all my cave facet fabrics. So I think I'll show you the quilts now that are based on the new Hexagon book by Keacher Merrick. This is the first quilt I did, and I did it for the Quilters Guild show, Sydney. These are all Keacher Merrick's blocks, and I called it Dreaming of Venice. And I love how the black neutral brings out stars, and so it's just like Murano glass, I thought, and all the beautiful little pieces of case fabrics. I also hand quilted it, and all the little hexagons are in the book that I made. I loved hand quilting this one too. So you see a couple of them, well, a few, I did as a whole hexagon to get the flowers in, and they go down just one side of it. I really like big stitch hand quilting. It's in the border too. I think it's very dynamic myself. And this is one of my favorite quilts. I just love some of the prints too, very much. So when we look at this one from a distance, Kitty's just under there helping. When we look at this one from a distance, you can see the sunflowers going down this side. They are just one piece of fabric. I really love this quilt. I think it's one of my best, and it took a fair while to do. Yeah. Dreaming of Venice. This is a lovely backing that I used for the quilt. Really love it. All my favorite colors. And the binding is K Facet and Brandon Mobley black and white stripes, wobbly stripes. Love it. This is a smaller quilt, but 1-inch hexagon, same as the other one. You see all my favorite fabrics in this, but the neutral for the path, I used red this time, and it's a red K Facet, and I really love it. You see it going through the flowers. I think it's lovely. You see fabrics from all of my other projects. Bees, little hedgehogs, turtles, butterflies. I just love the fabrics in this one too. They're nice and soft. This is a nice blue one. Made a skirt out of that purple with the violets. And this is a Charlie Harper fabric. It's lovely, and I call this quilt Inner, and I made it in 2020. I hand quilted it, and that's the back. I stenciled my name on this one. Yeah. That's Inner. This is a bit bigger quilt. Still 1-inch hexagons, English paper piece. And this is called Butterflies. I made this one in 2018, and I've hand quilted it. The neutral in this one is green. You can see it in the corners. I love this corner. I was collecting greens for a long time, green hexagons and green little pieces of fabric. Every flower is different. There's the little hedgehogs again. And the butterfly shape, when I'd done all these flowers, just came together, and I thought, wow, butterflies. Everybody will see butterflies, but not everybody did. I really love this this fabric. It was typewriter fabric, and that butterfly is made from, oh, it slips my mind at the moment, special dyeing process. I'll get it in a minute. So that's butterflies. Show you the back. I really like lighthouses too. That's the back. More butterflies. And that's the tag that I put on the back, my label. Lost and found. This is a very big quilt, so I've had to fold it in 3 so that I can show you the 3. Very big quilt, so I folded in 3 so I can talk about it and show you. This one took quite a long while to make. It's 1-inch hexagons, and there's a lot of Charlie Harper fabrics in this one as the centers. I love it. And it would have taken me a whole winter to make, I would think, and I've hand quilted it also. So let's have a look. These blocks remind me of snowflakes, really, but, you know, they're stars. I wanted them to go this way, but placing the fabrics in hexagon configuration didn't suit, so they're on an angle. I love Charlie Harper's birds. They're not all his, but mainly. They're lovely. I also love his cats. They remind me of Levine. Morning Glories. More Charlie Harper. I really like this one, how I've done the center. And bears. This is called Lost and Found, so there's a map. You can see the hand quilting. I'll show the next third now. I got in 2/3, so this is the bottom part of it. There's a lot of stars and a lot of birds' nests and things in this one. I love racing cars, especially the old ones. So I imagined I saw birds collecting material for their nests. Eggs. I had these cats going around the central star. I hope you like looking at these quilts with me. And now, friends, I will wrap this series up, collecting quilts. I hope you enjoyed the 4 parts to quilts in May, and I'll see you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe.